We had the return of El Vaquero Navarrete. Coming into this fight, he was taking on Charley Suarez, a Filipino fighter. Oh my goodness, this fight was a firefight. But then controversy struck and the cut happened.
There is a massive left hand punch landed by Suarez right before there was a clash of heads. Was it the punch? Or was it the headbutt that caused this cut?
People were claiming it was a sign of corruption. Was this a blatant opportunity of saving Navarrete, saving the A side because of this cut?
Inoue, he loves to fight. He came to Vegas to make a statement. He wanted to show the United States fans that he is one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
One of the big critiques for Inoue is, he's fighting Uber drivers. He's fighting these nobodies. Even worse when Inoue ended up late in the second round getting dropped with a heavy left hook.
You see a fighter get dropped twice and you're like, oh, this guy has a glass chin. I don't think that's the case.
Welcome back to another episode of The Last Round Podcast, where we cover everything from traditional boxing to influencer boxing and everything in between. In today's episode, we'll be going over Naoya Inoue's 8th round TKO win over Ramón Cárdenas, as well as Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete's controversial UD win over Charley Suarez this past weekend. But before we get into the episode, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. But now, diving into the episode. First things first, Naoya Inoue. Remember last week when we recorded the episode, Inoue hadn't fought yet. He was set to fight that same day we were recording, so we gave our predictions for the fights. I said round 9, you said round 8, and Asa said round 7. And what we got in return that night was a Fight of the Year contender and a Rudo prediction gone correct. Well, yeah, nice. So this past weekend or last weekend, Inoue came to the United States, returned to Vegas, and got dropped, but didn't get stopped. And showcased his chin, showcased his will, and showcased why he is a pound-for-pound fighter.
Yeah, I mean, he saved the night of boxing, the 3 days of boxing. He saved all of them. It was a great performance. Like you said, Fight of the Year contender for sure. You know, this is definitely one of the front runners. I think with Chris Eubank Jr. and Conor Ben, definitely up there. Firefight, man. Inoue, that's I just knew because Inoue, he loves to fight. He's one of these fighters, you know, he could box a decision victory. He has the skills to, you know, outbox you and just keep the fight on the outside, but he doesn't want that. He came to Vegas to make a statement. He wanted to show the United States fans that you know, he is one of the top 5 pound-for-pound fighters in the world, and I think he did regardless of the knockdown.
Yeah, that's so funny. I feel like there's a lot of characteristics in order for a fight to be considered or to be nominated Fight of the Year award. And, you know, I think, you know, with that fight, there was a lot of emotions. It was really much of a roller coaster full of emotions. I mean, right away you see Inoue just getting dropped by, you know, right away by a Lyft driver, right? But, you know, Cardenas was a very solid fighter, very competitive challenge for Inoue. I mean, he caught him straight. I think Inoue was kind of getting a little bit careless, and he just got caught with the left hook. But then he learned from that, and then he was able to stop Cardenas. So I think, yeah, it's like what you just said. He saved that 3-day weekend of boxing. You know, Inoue is a guy who, you know, he's a superstar. He's a superstar out of Japan, and I think very soon, or maybe until now, like he's a global superstar for sure.
Yeah, I mean, first off, let's go into the fight. The big thing that a lot of people were kind of already memeing was, you know, Inoue is often one of the big critiques for Inoue is, he's fighting Uber drivers, he's fighting these nobodies, and then ESPN did him dirty, or did not Inoue dirty, they did Ramón Cárdenas dirty by putting, you know, during his ring entrance or his ring introduction, the stat of him being a Lyft driver. And I mean, Ramón Cárdenas ended up, after the fight came out on Twitter, speaking about it, saying that he's not ashamed of it, that he did do Lyft, and that it's something that he's proud of. Which respect to him for standing on business about that.
Yeah, because I got a bone to pick, low key, with all these fans saying that. That just shows that he wasn't. If you're not at the top as a boxer, you're not making hundreds of thousands or even close to millions of dollars. You know, Ramón Cárdenas, he showed a fantastic performance against Inoue, who is without a doubt top 5 pound for pound fighter. At least top 10. You know, there's going to be a lot of haters, right? That after this fight, they might say he's a little lower. But for sure, top 10 pound for pound fighter. And he was driving Lyft. I mean, that shows you this guy has skills. He performed well. Just because he had a little side gig as a Lyft driver, that don't mean he wasn't good. That just means he wasn't getting paid enough. You know, the boxing still wasn't paying the bills. So hopefully, after this fight, I think, you know, he's going to get a little more recognition. The promoter is going to value him a little higher, and he can actually, you know, make a career out of boxing.
Yeah, plus I feel like the fight fans actually enjoyed his performance. They were very surprised. They had no idea who this guy was. And, you know, I didn't really know too much about him. You know, I've seen a couple of fights here and there, but I mean, for ESPN to put like that characteristics and unnecessary characteristics that he was an Uber driver, I was like, bro, there's not, or a Lyft driver, there's no need for that type of situation.
Yeah, and you know, people during the ring introduction were screenshotting it, posting it on X, and making fun of Inoue, saying he's not beating these allegations, and even worse, when Inoue ended up late in the second round, last 10 seconds of the round, he ends up getting dropped with a heavy left hook, caught Inoue coming in, and boom, dropped him in the second round. And let me say, that's probably, besides the Donaire fight, the first one, when he got caught with a counter right by Donaire, that was probably the most hurt I've seen Inoue in a very, very long time. Yeah. And honestly, I think Inoue is somewhat lucky in the aspect, or in the terms that the round was about to end right then and there, so he was able to, you know, get them in the break in between. But the thing I did like, though, was that Inoue, the second, you know, a lot of these fighters, they get dropped and they instantly stand up to try to, you know, showcase, maybe, you know, to showcase to the people, to the ref, to everyone, that they're not hurt, right? But Inoue, you know, he stayed on the ground. You know, he stayed, you know, on his knees up, you know, letting the 8 count go before standing up, you know, just to kind of ease himself, to calm down a little bit, because that was a heavy shot from Cardenas. Respect to Cardenas, he was able to catch him with a beautiful left hook, and Inoue took it well and was able to adjust to it.
Yeah, that's definitely the smart decision. A lot of these guys they immediately get up and they're like a little stumbly, they're a little rocky, they don't really have their legs under them. That shows, you know, that's a veteran tactic right there. Stay the 8 count. He's going to count to 8 regardless. You know, the ref isn't going to stop at 3 if you get up at 3. He's going to count to 8. So might as well take that break, you know, relax, set yourself, you know, get in the right mind space, and then get back up. But I also liked that, you know, it was the end of the round. He got a minute break. Yeah. He came out and he started dominating again. You know, Inoue has great recovery abilities, and so, you know, maybe there's some doubts on his actual chin where, you know, if you clip him, he might go down, but that doesn't mean he's out of the game. That just means, you know, he's like, okay, this is a fight, let's go. You know, that turns him on, that gives him in the right mind space to start throwing a lot of punches. So I didn't place that much emphasis on the knockdown. You know, a lot of fighters throughout boxing history have been getting dropped. One that always comes to my mind is Felix Trinidad. Yeah. He would always get dropped, and they'd like make the joke that like the fight doesn't start for Trinidad unless he gets dropped. It was after he got dropped that's when the real fight started, and it might be something similar with Inoue. You know, he got dropped. It may be a little. It was a mistake that he definitely made. You know, he tried to follow Cardenas way too long, and Cardenas just caught him with a beautiful left hook. But that doesn't mean anything, and I think Inoue definitely showed that. You know, he's still got the skills, and if you drop him, you're gonna have to nail him to the canvas. You're gonna have to spark him out cold for you to stop him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like the Michael Jordan, almost like in the sense that, like, you know, he may be having like an off night, but the moment that like an opponent on the other team starts talking shit, he turns it up. I think it's almost a similar effect. Felix Trinidad, Inoue in this fight, he got dropped, and I think no one else was more surprised than Inoue because he was surprised. He kind of like looked around, he looked at his corner, he kind of looked shocked. His eyes were a little bit wider than normal, and then he just kind of slowly, he's really smart. He understood that like I just need to take it slow, weather this storm, and then we'll go from there. And he did what he needed to do. One thing though is that I didn't give too much emphasis on the knockdown. It wasn't until later I was kind of thinking about it, but respect to Cardenas, apart from having a wonderful performance, he does have decent punching power at 122. And Inoue got dropped by a heavy-handed fighter, I would say. At 126, though, do you think his chin can hold up?
Well, I mean, it seems that Inoue doesn't believe so, because it came out in the post-fight press conference. He said, as long as my body can make 122, I'm staying at 122. So any dreams of Inoue going up to 126 in the near future are dead. He made it abundantly clear that he's staying at 122. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's because the 126 division is tough, especially like the head of it is El Divino Espinosa, who was the co-main event of that card, and he, oh my gosh, he just looks like a absolute monster. I feel like every fight he looks better and better. So, Inoue probably saw that fight. He said he's the top guy at 126. I'm undisputed at 122. I go up to 126. I'm going to try to go undisputed again. I'm going to have to get past a 6'1" Mexican that throws 80 punches around. So, I did see that. He's going to stay at 122. Kind of sad for me, because I did want to see him go up to 126. But if I was him, I think that's a smart decision. Yeah.
Especially since there's also been a lot of rumors about him taking on Junto Nakatani in Japan. I mean, Junto Nakatani is at 118. But when they were interviewing Inoue during fight week, they asked him about Nakatani, and they asked him, at what weight would it be? Would it be at 118 or 122? And they knew it quickly was all like 122.
Come on, I mean, like, who's the A side here? Who's the A side? Like, come on.
But that tells you a lot because we already know that MJ is taking on Inoue in September. He might have a fight, sometime in December, maybe, perhaps. But for sure, next year is when perhaps the big super fight between Junto Nakatani and Naoya Inoue in Japan can happen, and that's a mega fight in Japan. And also Nakatani is set to fight in a week or two, so I mean, we're gonna see how Nakatani looks. I saw a lot of people, since Inoue has been dropped twice by a left hook, Luis Neri and now Ramón Cárdenas, he's been dropped twice with the left hook. People were saying, look, Junto Nakatani has a killer left. If Junto Nakatani is able to connect against Inoue, he can beat Inoue. He can maybe knock him down, maybe knock him out. I saw a lot of people switch up on Inoue online saying, I think Junto Nakatani has a chance against Inoue. Based on this recent performance from Inoue, we're still yet to see Nakatani in a week or two. Do you think that Nakatani does stand a chance against Inoue at 122?
I mean, stand a chance, maybe. He can make the fight competitive, but to win the fight convincingly, I don't think so. Inoue, like, he got dropped twice, and now people are like, they're throwing shade at him, and I think Inoue himself responded to it saying, hopefully I don't think people expect me to get dropped in my next fight, because like now it's like a tradition now he's gonna get dropped, but. I mean, sometimes he just makes mistakes, and it's just like we were talking about last episode where we were criticizing Devin Haney, where he wasn't taking the risks, even though he was 100 levels above Jose Ramirez. He should be taking more risks, and yes, if you take more risks, obviously you might get clipped a bit more. And in a way, he loves to do that. He knows that he's levels above these guys. Like, they shouldn't be in the ring with him. So he takes a lot of risks, and sometimes you get clipped. That's boxing. That's boxing 101. You're going to get hit sometimes. But what makes him great is that he just gets right back up and he's like, okay, let's go. Let's do it again. Like, come on. And he gets better. So I don't think, Junto, we haven't seen him at 122. It's more weight. He's a very, very solid guy. I love his combinations. And it's going to be a good fight, but I definitely would lean towards Inoue.
Yeah, I feel like my needle leans more towards Naoya Inoue. But I feel like Junto Nakatani at 122, it's going to suit him a little bit better. I mean, he's taller than Inoue. I'm very surprised that he's still able to make 118. And he's a very smart fighter, and he's actually able to pack a punch in both hands. He's super creative in some of the punch combinations that he selects. And yeah, man, every time I think about Junto Nakatani, I think of a guy who's dangerous and, can hurt you with either hand. So I feel like in regards to that question, yes, Junto Nakatani would have a chance to beat Inoue. But I mean, it's really hard to go up against the Go. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I would go with Inoue. But Junto has a puncher's chance for sure.
Yeah. Now going back to the fight between Inoue and Ramón Cárdenas, after the knockdown, it seemed, like you said, it seemed to have ignited a fire within Inoue, and instead of cruising to being a bit more cautious, kind of outboxing Cardenas, he said, no, I'm gonna go right back into the fire and I'm gonna try to hurt this guy. I'm gonna try to get my lick back. And that's exactly what he did, because in the 7th round, Inoue was able to drop Cardenas, and it was a big back and forth fight. Cardenas, in my opinion, he did a fantastic job. He did what a true underdog is supposed to perform. Yes, you're up against supposed top 3 pound for pound fighter, the A side. The media coverage is all over Inoue, and yet everyone's kind of doubting you, saying, okay, Inoue's going to spark you out. Inoue's going to beat you. You stand no chance. The way that Cardenas performed was the way a true underdog should perform. Go out there and just try to knock his head off, showcase, leave it all in the ring, and that's what he did. My only issue with Cardenas, though, was that I felt that he was way too reliant on that left hook. After he caught Inoue, he was all like, I can hurt him with the left hook, and it seemed that was his only punch that he could do. It looked like if he should have added, in my opinion, I think he should have just added more variation to his offense in order to kind of mask the left hook, because after the left hook landed, it seemed to have never landed again. Inoue was able to adapt, and they made it easier because Cardenas would just whiff the left hook every now and then. So that's my only big thing. But besides that, Cardenas did a fantastic job, and he definitely earned himself a lot of respect, a lot of fans, and a lot more opportunities for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think he went to Japan, didn't he? Because
I think he's going to Japan.
Oh, he's going to Japan.
Yeah.
Because I saw he tweeted out something. He was saying like, I'm getting recognized in Japan, or everyone in Japan knows me, or something like this. Like, I was like, okay. Because I know after the fight, he went up to Inoue and he's like, yo, if I come to Japan, you got to show me around. And Inoue was like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, I like Cardenas, and I'd like to see him again at 122 now. So hopefully, the promoters value him at what he's at, and they start paying him enough money so he doesn't have to have a side job. Like a lot of boxers have side jobs, I
don't think Josh Padley,
electrician. Also, even the world champ former world champ at 175, the construction worker.
Oh, Joe Smith.
Yeah. He used to be in construction, and he was a world champion. So come on,
Also, I think Cardenas doesn't do Lyft anymore. I think he stopped doing that after 2021 or something along those lines. But I mean, he was still. I mean, like I said, he was proud of it. I mean, he wasn't saying ashamed of it at all. He stood on business about it, saying, "Yeah, so what I was a lifter. I was a Lyft driver," and that's literally what makes the underdog story a bit more real, a bit more personal, and that's why I think a lot of people are gravitating towards his story. But now that Naoya Inoue was able to get off the canvas, drop, and then ultimately stop Ramón Cárdenas, he sets his eyes out for MJ in September. I believe it's set to be placed in Saudi Arabia, Riyadh season. MJ and Eddie Hearn, who have been verbally calling out Inoue for quite some time now, have finally earned their shot at a chance for undisputed. Early prediction for Inoue versus MJ.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, I feel like it's Eddie Hearn mainly. Yeah. Eddie Hearn has been fiending for this fight for MJ. I mean, he is always talking about Inoue's ducking, Inoue's scared of MJ. Okay, then. In September, we'll see. And I guarantee you, it's not going to happen like Eddie Hearn thinks it's going to happen. I think Inoue is going to win again. And I think, it's going to be a good fight. Like, obviously, MJ is a top guy. But, he lost to Tapales. You know what I'm saying? Like it was an upset, right? He should have technically won on paper, but I just don't see him beating a guy like Naoya Inoue. So I'm leaning towards Inoue again.
Yeah, for me, Eddie Hearn. I think Eddie Hearn is like one of my favorite promoters. I think like top 3. I mean, he's been saying Inoue's name so much. He's been saying it more than his fighter that he has signed. It almost seems as though that Eddie Hearn is going to get in the ring with Inoue instead of MJ. But in regards to MJ and Inoue in September, I think look, MJ. I considered him the one of either top 2 or top 3 dangerous guys within that weight division. I still think he's there, like right there, even after that loss against Tapales. But I just think Inoue, I think it should be like an easy fight for Inoue to win. I think he should win. It's going to be competitive because, MJ has that Eastern European style and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, Inoue should come out with a victory and then look for bigger and better things next year.
Yeah, I mean, this is the fight that MJ and Eddie Hearn have been looking at for quite some time now. Also a chance to become undisputed at 122, and also to beat the number 2, number 3 pound for pound fighter in the world. So it's a big opportunity for MJ. They finally got it. Inoue finally said, you know what, fuck it. Like, you guys been talking all this smack. Let's go. Let's have at it. And I mean, that also shows Inoue's mindset. I mean, he's a very active fighter, always fighting the best guys in his division, and he's set to be fighting MJ next up. So it's a lot of respect for him after getting off from the canvas in this last fight. But yeah, early predictions. I mean, you just cannot doubt Naoya Inoue. I mean, he's always there to fight. He's always there to win, and even when he gets dropped or he's in a moment of trouble, he always finds that second gear to turn up the level and to ultimately stop his opponent. So as of right now, I have no doubt that Naoya Inoue will be getting the win over MJ in this highly anticipated 122 championship bout. No. But moving on from Naoya Inoue. Actually, no, one more thing about Inoue. I have a question. We mentioned it briefly, but after the fight, people came out about their thoughts about Inoue, and the big thing was Inoue doesn't have a chin. Inoue's been dropped by Neri, and now he's been dropped by Cardenas. Both fighters at 122. Question is, does Inoue have a chin?
It's a good question. And I feel like it kind of depends what you consider a chin. If you take into account Inoue's recovery ability, I think you have to say his chin is great. Because he got dropped hard against Cardenas. I mean, this was a picture-perfect left hook right on the jaw. A minute later, he's dominating the fight again. So, I mean, this is great recovery ability. But if you just say, I mean, his chin is just like being dropped, then, I mean, maybe you can make the case. You can make the case, perhaps, but then we also have to take into consideration that the opponents that he fought and dropped him are power punchers. I mean, Neri, he's a dangerous power puncher. This guy hits hard as hell. Cardenas, again, a power puncher. His record shows it. So, I mean, it's kind of like I wouldn't say, you can't say that Inoue has a glass chin. I did see some people on X saying that, and everyone in the comments was just cooking them. Because it's a horrible take to say Inoue is a glass chin or Inoue is overrated because of this type of performance. Maybe you can say that if he's susceptible to, getting caught. You could say that. I could see that. He's susceptible to getting caught. He can go down on the canvas, but his recovery ability saves him. He has great recovery abilities. He's a smart fighter, and if I can definitely see if he's like in real danger, he's just gonna revert back to his boxing 101, and he's gonna be able to get out of that trouble situation. So. I don't know. I think it's pretty exaggerated. You see a fighter get dropped twice, and you're like, oh, this guy has a glass chin. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, it's very different. It's almost like how Devin Haney got dropped by Ryan Garcia. I feel like there's two different things. Like when I see the case with Devin Haney and Inoue, two different things. Inoue has gone up multiple weight classes and has yet to be dropped up until these recent weight classes. Where he gets dropped by power punchers. Ryan Garcia, he's a guy who has mastered that left hook, and he's able to put all of his body and momentum and kinetic energy into that punch. And, I feel like Devin Haney never really had a really good chin to begin with, even before he fought Ryan Garcia. Now, after that, his chin is a little weaker, so there's a difference. But I mean, the question that I kind of like was kind of like asking earlier was the fact that like at 126, I'm not sure how well his chin will hold up in Inoue's, but for sure you can't say that he doesn't have a chin. That guy has, it's like what you said, his recovery abilities are tremendous. He's able to recover. He's able to hurt and still be able to weather the storm and box beautifully. So yeah, I think it's just a lot of people just hating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, if you look at Tyson Fury, he's been dropped multiple times, and yet it seems as if he recovers. Like he gets dropped one round. The following round, he looks completely fine.
The first fight with Deontay Wilder, I thought he died.
Yeah, that's a good example because like, would you say Tyson Fury has a glass chin? I mean, he's gotten dropped. He got dropped 3 times, but no, he got up and he's recovered. So.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I saw a lot of people on X, on social media, kind of go at Inoue, claiming he had a glass chin, claiming he's fighting all these Uber drivers. But at the end of the day, Inoue is out here remaining as undisputed champion at 122 and is ranked amongst the people as a top 3, top 2 pound for pound fighter in the world. But now going on to this weekend, or this past weekend, we had the return of El Vaquero Navarrete. Now, Navarrete, last time we saw him was against Oscar Valdez in the rematch back in December. In a rematch that no one was asking for. I mean, the first fight was exciting. It was fun. But it was a clear Navarrete win. So coming into the rematch, people were not really big fans of it. Still going to watch it because the first fight was fun, but no one was asking for it. And Vaquero showcased why it should have been made, because all it ended up being was a Vaquero show. Mm-hmm. Absolutely dominated. Oscar Valdez dropped him, stopped him, and came out on top once again, this time in more vicious, in a more carnage fashion. I mean, this was a complete dominant performance from Navarrete. So now coming into this fight, he was taking on Charley Suarez, a Filipino fighter. Charley Suarez, relatively unknown amongst the fans, but coming into the fight against Emmanuel Navarrete, he was coming in 18-0, had fought multiple times already on top rank, and was looking to upset the current champion at 130. Now this fight, prior to them entering the ring, was already dramatic because Emmanuel Navarrete was having trouble making weight. Yeah. I mean, not only did he miss weight once, but he missed it twice, and he's lucky he got that third time in, man. I mean, I'm telling you, Navarrete needs something changed within his team, man, because this cannot keep on happening. My bro keeps bloating up too fat and then comes in dying up in the scales, and he barely made it. I mean, he almost lost his belt to the scales, so this is already not a good sign. Now, coming into fight night, oh my goodness, this fight, honestly, it would have been fight of the year contender as well. This fight was a firefight. Yeah. But then controversy struck and the cut happened. Mm-hmm. Talk to us, Asa. What happened?
Yeah, very big controversy, man. And what was it, the 7th round?
I don't remember. I think it was the 6th.
6th round, 7th round. It was like in the middle of the fight. We were having an action-packed fight, right? You know, back and forth. And Navarrete was definitely getting the better of the exchanges. But Suarez was there. You know, this was a competitive fight. Very fun, exciting fight to watch. And then, boom, we get a cut. And then first, everyone was saying, oh, it's a headbutt. Because both fighters kind of, you know, went to their corners and were like touching their heads, oh, headbutt. There's a cut, it's a headbutt. We get the replay, though, and there is a massive left hand punch landed.
Might have been right.
Yeah. Oh, there was a big punch landed by Suarez right before there was a clash of heads. And now people are wondering, was it the punch or was it the headbutt that caused this cut? And you know, this is extremely important because it decides whether this is a TKO or whether it goes to the decision where eventually Navarrete pulls out the victory. as I think rightfully, he was up on the scorecards. He was up on my scorecards as well. But honestly, listen, I'm a Navarrete fan. We all are Navarrete fans. We've been watching him since he broke onto the scene against, oh my God, that short guy. I forgot his Dogbe.
Yeah.
So I love Navarrete. You know, he's one of my favorite fighters. But I think this was definitely a punch that caused this cut. I think it was a perfectly placed shot. It cut Navarrete. And that being said, though, I don't think the ref should have stopped the fight. Because I don't think the cut was that bad to stop the fight. So, you know, we're kind of in a weird situation here where I feel like both sides are right. Some people are saying it's a robbery because, you know, Suarez was unjustly, the cut was unjustly called a headbutt, even though it was a punch. Yeah. But then Navarrete is like, I don't think the fight should even have been stopped because it wasn't even that bad. So we're in a weird situation here.
Yeah, very weird situation over there in California. But if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure it was the medical examiner who stopped the fight. It was the doctor. I'm pretty sure that's what the ring announcer said. But yeah, man, it was very interesting. Very weird. To be honest, yeah, that's like what you said. I think Navarrete has been battling with things outside of the ring. You know, just Friday.
Just being a fat ass. I mean, I don't know if that's a lot of battles. You know, put the tacos down for a sec. You know,
I mean that would help. But every time he steps up onto the scale, he looks like he's dying. Like he looks like he can't really get a full breath of air. He looks like he's like about to pass out. And then by some miracle, he's able to make weight by just exhaling. And then, you know, come fight night, you know, Suarez, he was there to fight. He was kind of like a dog. He was there making the fight pretty competitive. He was not going to back down from Navarrete. He was actually not scared of Navarrete at all. And then, you know, that cut opens up, and I think it really changed the dynamic of the fight. I think, you know, the cut was kind of like, I think it was bothering Navarrete to some extent. But I don't think it was to the point where he couldn't see or he was really complaining like that. For whatever reason, I don't know why the doctor decided to stop the fight. And I think it really ruined, you know, whatever was supposed to happen later in the fight. And yeah, so I think it really sucks. I think it really sucks for Navarrete. He gets the win, but then this may be the only time we may see him in 2025 because now he has to recover from that cut.
Well, look, the fight started off with a bang. Suarez instantly came in to try to set the pace, instantly ran towards Navarrete and wanted to make it a fight right then and there. And then Navarrete caught him with like 1-2s, and was able to stumble him and rock him and bust up his nose right away after the first round. And, you know, Suarez somewhat calmed down, but he still set the pace. And, you know, it showed to me that the weight cut did play a factor in Navarrete because, I mean, third, fourth round, I felt like he was slowing down a little bit. Suarez was having a bit more success. It wasn't until the cut happened where I saw the fire ignite in Navarrete, and he was all like, yo, like, I need to go and get this knockdown now, right? Or this knockout. And he just started rushing in there and throwing like 200 punches in the round. And I was all like, bro, calm down, because at points he was throwing way out of range, and he was just like throwing himself just to connect something. And I mean, yes, it was a good fight, fun fight while it lasted. The big controversy is the cut. I believe it was a punch that landed a cut. I think the commission got it wrong. Supposedly, on Sunday morning, they announced that they were going to, the commission as well as the WBO, we're going to have a meeting about it. And there's a potential chance that the fight will be overturned to a no contest. Those are early talks right now. I'm not sure how accurate they are, but that's something that's on the table to overturn the UD win for Navarrete to a no contest. And if that happens, I mean, there's going to be an immediate rematch that's going to be placed. First allow Navarrete to recover from the cut, and then the rematch will take place, which I don't mind. I mean, a good fight. It was so super fun while they're at it, and hopefully, let's say the rematch does happen. No contest happens. The rematch is set to take place. I'm just hoping this, motivates Navarrete to not be a slob and to kill himself at weigh-ins, to at least stay disciplined outside of the ring, when you're recovering, and not to bloat up to whatever weight he bloats up to. Because if he comes in again for the rematch, let's say, and he's struggling to make weight once again, I mean, we're going to get the same type of fight that we were getting in the first time. It's going to be a very tough fight for Navarrete, and one that he might be looking just to get the knockout, just to get the night over with, because he knows he can't make the 12 rounds.
Yeah. And I hope that they get a better commissioning body, because where were they, in Cali?
San Diego, I believe.
In Cali, yeah, in San Diego. Some pussies out there, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be honest with you. Because that cut was, I'm going to say it again. That cut was not that bad.
Like, you look at Tyson Fury, you look at Jojo Diaz, you look at, I guess, Tim Tszyu to a certain extent.
You look at Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor.
Oh, man, yeah.
Like this is what I'm talking about. Like, the way you judge a cut is, there's usually two criteria. First, it's how big and it's how deep it is. And second, it's where it's placed. So usually cuts that are like right in the eyelid, they're the most dangerous, and especially if they're really big, we're going to stop the fight. But if it's like a cut, like Tim Tszyu, it was on the top of the head. It was a very deep cut, but they let it play on because of the placement of the cut. But like you said, I mean, Tyson Fury, that boy was bringing up another eye.
Jojo Diaz also had a terrible one.
And these were like very deep, very big cuts that were placed in the worst position imaginable. And these fights were not stopped. And now we got Navarrete, which was placed like on the forehead. It was not that big. It was not that deep. And the fight is stopped. And this is a world championship fight. So the ref and the commission, they're supposed to, let them play it out, because this is the highest stake in boxing. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, if the fight is overturned, I think it's a good idea that it's a no contest instead of being overturned to a Suarez victory, as it should have been if a fight is stopped because of a punch cut. Because, I mean, like, this fight should not have been stopped. This cut was not that bad. It was not enough for it to warrant a stoppage, which is, I just think it's a good idea that it's a no contest.
People were claiming it was a sign of corruption. The A side, I mean, they were saying, Navarrete maybe during the later portion of the fight would have, the cut would have been too bad, the blood, it would have affected him, and Suarez would have started coming on. Was this a blatant, what's it called, opportunity, or was this the commission's way of saving Navarrete, saving the A side from potentially losing out on his WBO because of this cut?
I think that's actually what I thought at first, because they were like looking at the cut and they were saying, they were talking about it. I was like, guys, come on now. I think it's an interesting theory, and one that might hold some merit, because Navarrete, obviously the A side, no one, like we were talking about, like you said, no one really knew Suarez. He's an underground fighter. He's not a big name. Everyone was placing Navarrete to win. So, it might have been the smart decision for Navarrete to hedge his risk and just be like, hey, let's just stop the fight, or for the commission to do that for him. That's definitely a possibility.
Yeah, for me, I think that's what it is. I mean, once you follow the sport for a while now, you understand, sometimes the promotional side or the broadcasting or whatever, whoever is the A side has the money side. And I think when there's a lot of money on a certain side, I feel like a lot of people, whether it's the commission, whether it's the judges, whether it's the referee, whether it's the doctor even as well, they may be a little bit persuaded to maybe think in a certain direction or think in a certain way. And I think that's really what happened. I mean, I said it before and I'm going to say it again. I truly do think that Navarrete's luck is running out. Like, if I'm not mistaken, like, he was also struggling to make 135 as well. This is a guy who just maybe doesn't have the best plan in order to make weigh-ins. And I think, he wasn't having an off night against Suarez. I think within the scorecards, I think that's kind of like what I had. I had him up. But I just think his time's going to run out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's pushing it so far. And if he doesn't, let's say the immediate rematch is called for Suarez to take on Navarrete again. If he doesn't get his shit together, he might lose on his WBO. I mean, Suarez showed that he is game, and that if you give him the chance, he's gonna take it, and he's gonna punish you for any mistake that you make.
Well, do you think he'd lose against Suarez, or do you think he'd lose against the weigh-in?
That's what I mean. He could, dude. At this point with Navarrete, he could either lose it against Suarez in the rematch, or he could lose it on the scales. If he doesn't, if this fight didn't teach him something about managing his weight properly, I mean, he should already know about this. I mean, he's like he's got 43 fights.
Yeah.
43 fights in, and he's, I mean, I know he has a poor diet. I mean, he doesn't have a nutritionist. He needs to do something, man, because if he keeps doing this, I mean, his body's not going to hold up. He's only 30 years old, too. He's still got a good amount of years of good boxing, of elite level boxing left. So I want to see a big change from Navarrete. I don't know if we'll get it.
Well, yeah, that's the scary thing, though, because I feel like, I mean, it's obvious that he's had these weigh-in scares before. And he knows that he should get a nutritionist, but he doesn't. So that just shows that it's bad habits, and it's habits that it seems he doesn't want to change. So, we might just be seeing Navarrete try to ride out his natural, because he's just a great fighter. Naturally, he has a feel for it, even though it's awkward. Maybe he might just be trying to ride that out.
And he's got that power, man. Yeah. You cannot deny Navarrete's got dynamite in those hands. And that's literally what helps him in these fights. When things get tough, he knows he can rely on that power, because he knows if he's able to connect well, boom, his opponent is either going to get hurt or he's going to drop him. Like in the Suarez fight, he connected Suarez with some beautiful 1-2s, but it was the shot to the body that hurt Suarez and had Suarez backing up and hurt. I mean, I'm telling you, Navarrete, he can be unorthodox. He can struggle to make weight. But the thing he knows he can always rely on is the power. And the power is something that is the last to go. So he's going to cling on to that power for as long as he can.
Well, low-key, I think that power is because of the weight.
You think so?
Listen, remember when he went up to 135? And it did not go good at all.
Well, he fought like shit overall in general.
Yeah, you're right. He did fight like shit, but I feel like the power. I mean, it should have been the saving grace. Yeah. It should have been at least an equalizer. Yeah. But it was nowhere to be found. And he's killing himself to make 130. He's a huge guy. He's obviously bigger. He was bigger than Suarez. Yeah. It might be some of that. The power might be coming from some of that weight, some of that size that he holds.
Yeah, and I feel like once you lose so much weight within that time frame, you're also depleting from your power as well, and I think that's also affecting him as well. I mean, it's what you said. Yeah, you said it yourself, Pablo, that he had a couple of great body shots, especially one in particular, a left hook to the body that kind of right away Suarez got on the bike. But I really think. Yeah, man, there's only a certain period of time that you can do that to your body, and there's going to be consequences, and I think we're seeing that out in front of our eyes.
So big controversy in San Diego as Emmanuel El Vaquero Navarrete was able to get a very controversial UD win over Charley Suarez after the fight was stopped due to a quote-unquote accidental headbutt, which allowed Emmanuel Navarrete to retain his WBO. Now, we'll see in these coming days, maybe in a couple of weeks, what the commission decides to do, if they're going to continue reviewing the tape and make a final decision on that. But regardless, Emmanuel Navarrete remains one of, if not the top dog at 130, and looks for hopefully some big fights later in the future if the Suarez fight is, if the rematch happens. If it doesn't, whatever. So, okay, so you got Oshaki Foster. You just had Kakase whoop Lee Wood.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, so there's a lot of big moving parts at 130. It seems things are starting to kick up there again. So we'll see what the 130 has in store for El Vaquero Navarrete. But let us know down below, was that a accidental headbutt or was it a legal punch from Suarez? Also, do you think there will be an immediate rematch shortly after the decision of the governing bodies and the commission? Also, let us know, is Inoue chinny or are the haters just barking? working? Let us know your opinions down in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on all forms of social media. We're on X, Instagram, and TikTok. Lastly, we're trying to build up a community on Discord, and you guys joining would be greatly appreciated. But this was Pablo, and I'm with Rudo and Asa, and this was the Last Round Podcast. Thank you for watching.